recording, which I'd forgotten to do. And here's our chapter. We're on chapter 7. And the chapter is on asking questions. The important thing, and he has a quote from Albert Einstein, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reasons for existence. And then he talks about the role of questions, and there's open and closed questions. And that was it. That was pretty much the nature of the chapter book here. So who would like to start speaking? And you can talk about the chapter or anything that's alive in you.
I'll start.
Okay.
I have to say Edwin.
Okay.
So it kind of bothered me, this chapter on questions, that it came before the reflection part. The next chapter is on reflection. And I thought, why is he talking about questions here when I think when you reflect, he has he addresses reflections in there, questions in that chapter 2. Anyway, so I just thought it was odd that he put questions before the reflection part.
So you're just finding it odd that he's talking about questions right now, and especially since it's coming even before the reflection component. So it's kind of just understand it.
Right, it's confusing to me. And then the other thing is, one thing I noticed about myself personally is the way I used to operate or learning about empathy is I would ask people a lot of questions because I'm curious about people. And what I realize now as I go think back on that, I was kind of driving the conversation with my questions. And that's kind of like what he's saying in this. That's what you can do if you ask too many questions. You take it over from the person you're talking to. So empathy has really helped me a lot with, I'll still ask questions, but not as many.
So you're just noticing your own modus operandi before was to ask a lot of questions, and then after learning about empathy, you're realizing that you were steering the conversation because of that. So you're doing less of it, using more empathy now, less question asking.
Yeah, I feel fully heard.
Okay. Thanks, and I'll speak to Mimi. Yeah, I feel exactly like Ingrid. And not only that was my modus operandi too, is always asking questions. It's like it felt safe to ask questions,
Okay, so it seems that you are, what Ingrid said has really expressed your thoughts, because you had the tendency to ask people many questions whenever you were trying to be in a discussion with them.
Yeah, it was, so the first part too was that I don't know why he brings it up in this chapter. It's like, it's like, why are we focusing on questions now? I don't see how it fits with what we're doing. I think that was Ingrid's experience too. So I have the same, kind of confusion about that. So
it seems that, it seems that you don't really understand what was the writer's intention to refer to the questions at this point of the book. And it's not very clear, it doesn't make sense to you. You think that you could have avoided it at this point.
Yeah, it could be that he thinks that people are like us, they ask a lot of questions. So he wants to make a point that, here's some ways of asking questions and kind of dial back on the, do less questions. And maybe that's the point, I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so through speculation, you think that he probably thought that many people have the tendency to ask many questions like we do, and he might have thought that at this point of the book, he could refer to this a bit extensively and just make people think that asking too many questions does not provide empathy.
Yeah, so then there's that part, and the other part is I notice in myself having asked questions was a way of feeling comfortable and relating to people. It kind of made me more comfortable. It's like if I'm just there, I don't know what to say, right? It's like I don't know how to start the conversation, what to say in the conversation. So if I ask questions of people, it kind of made me just feel, well, I know how to relate. I just know how to socially relate by asking people a lot of questions. But then the response is they would do all the talking. I would, not get to share so much sometimes. So, yeah.
So it seems that you had the reason behind why you wanted to ask questions to people, because it was a way for you to socialize with them, to communicate, to learn more about them, and you were very familiar with this method, and that's why you followed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of gave me a bit of equilibrium, sort of, just knowing to be comfortable. Yeah. So that's it. There is a try-it exercise that we did in the other group. And actually, it was kind of fun to do the try-it. So maybe we'll do that a little bit later. So with that, yeah, I feel heard. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on a second. I'm getting a little echo from you, Edwin. I don't know if it's my system or, hold on.
Okay, I get that echo too. If you speak, let me mute. Let's see if it's me.
One of us has to speak. I don't hear it. Oh, I do.
Oh, let me.
Is it from me? Anything?
Oh, sorry. Oh, it is. It is. I just muted you, me, and it is yours. So.
I can use my headphones. Is it any better now?
Yeah.
It's better? You know, the window is open. There is some traffic, so it might affect the quality of the sound. Is it better?
But now your voice is kind of soft.
My voice is soft?
One thing you can do, one thing you could maybe do is if you go under the video settings, below, and select, right, I think right now you're using your microphone here. If you switch to your computer microphone, I think that might work. This
is the computer microphone. This is the computer microphone.
But if you use this for your earbuds, it might keep from getting use this part for your earbuds to listen, but the microphone from the computer, so you can separate.
I don't think that I have this option. I can either use these or the computer. I mean, so the microphone will be from my earphones as well. So I can't choose one of the utilities. I can have both.
Mm-hmm. I think you can use. Can we try? If you plug it in, can we just try plugging it in?
Yeah.
Okay, and then on the screen, you see where it says mute and then stop video, and next to the stop video is a little up arrow.
Yes.
And then you click the up arrow and
video settings.
Yeah, video settings. Select the there's video settings. If you click video settings, it brings up a little menu that says audio.
Yes.
And then the audio, you can have a little pull down menu that I think you can select your computer. That's the test the mic. Yeah, you can select the microphone.
But it says same assistant. Okay, can you hear me now?
It's still through your, it's still through, I'm just sharing. This is the window that comes up.
Yes, I'm there.
And then this one here, the test microphone, can you?
Yes, I chose both of them. I changed that.
Oh, okay, so that's the one. And it
But
doesn't matter which one you use, it's still the same.
yes.
Okay, all right, well, we tried.
Okay, audio, but we always mute microphone. Can you hear me now? Is that different?
I guess we don't get the feedback, but if you hold up the microphone, I guess that would work. It's up to you, Ingrid. What do you're?
So if I keep it like this, is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can use my headphones and just keep it close to my lips. So okay, the patent. So okay, I think it's my turn. Yes, okay. I can talk to Ingrid, and you know, today I got feedback from one of my professors, and at university, I'm studying for my master's in digital teaching and literature. So I got a good mark, but I was really pissed by the way the professor offered the comments, and I was really annoyed because I felt that she didn't appreciate anything. I mean, I didn't work for her, of course, but you know, when you have a nice you try to have a nice collaboration with the professor, and you see at the end that the quality of your work is not appreciated, then you know, it just hurts, and I really tried to forget about it and just ignore it, but I felt very bad.
Wow. So you had kind of a situation today that was, you got a good mark. There's kind of like positive and negative. I mean, you got a good mark, but the interaction with the professor didn't go the way you wish it had gone. And you were really hurt by how the professor handled the situation, especially when you thought things were going well.
All right. Yes, and it's not about my relationship with her, because she's not my friend. So I try to keep my heart protected from people who are not my friends. But these people teach us how to be sensitive teachers while they remain insensitive, and I find extremely ridiculous, if not dangerous. So this is what really annoyed me, that how can you ask me to be sensitive and tender when you don't know how to offer creative feedback?
Wow. So it's here, this person, they're teaching you, it's one thing you're learning is how to be sensitive and tender, yet she's not able to give feedback in a way that someone can really hear it. She gives feedback in a way that's hurtful. She can't be sensitive and caring when she's giving feedback.
So exactly, and we have a bright example of lack of empathy here, and it's very important. So that's why you have heard me many times saying during our meetings that people talk about empathy and they feel there's something special, you know, but it's not, their heart is not being has not been touched by this. They just talk theoretically, and they try to present themselves as something special while they are not able to practice it in real life, and they fail.
So it's like you hear in your at where you're at in the school, people talk theoretically about empathy all the time, and they think it's a special, wonderful thing. But then when it comes to really being empathic, it's not there, it's not in their heart, and they can't do it.
Yes, definitely. I feel fully heard. Thank you, Ingrid.
You're welcome. So let's, I'll go with Demetra. And this is kind of a little bit about the, I think, well, first, if I am interested in Portugal sometime about what, I think you said I know you can't answer questions now, but I am curious more about what you're doing there. So, but this thing with the questions and sometimes I often call it like it's taking the story away. And when you're talking with someone and if there's instead of like roadblocks, well, let me see, there's roadblocks to me that are also, I call, they're taking this person's story away. So if I'm talking with someone and they say, oh, I had a terrible day today, and I said, well, boy, I had a worse day, I'm taking their story away from them. If they say, I had a terrible day today, and I say, well, you should go see this person then for help, I'm taking their story away from them. And I just like that taking the story away, and it's kind of like taking it away from them and onto me. I like that, that verbiage.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last word. You like that? The
verbiage, taking the story away. I like those words.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know the word. Sorry. Okay, so what I heard was that you were very, you have thought that quite often people take it is as if they steal the story of the other person. They don't pay attention because they don't stay focused on what the person has experienced or is feeling. And instead of participating into this emotional situation, they just refer to their own personal experience without even anybody have asked them about it, or they might suggest the person to talk to another one or whatever. But the point is that they don't stay focused on what the speaker has just shared with them, so the speaker doesn't feel fully heard.
Yes, that's exactly that's exactly right. And I find sometimes when I'm in conversation with someone and I'm sharing something with them and then they take the story away from me, they steal the story, then it helps sometimes if I recognize that it's, they just took the story away, but that's what's alive in them. It helps me recognize it, if that makes it helps me not get upset about it as much, and I just think they're taking the story away.
Okay, so what I heard, it reminded me of what you had said some sessions ago, that through these empathy sessions, it was easier for you to understand how other people think and feel. So now you're referring to this again, and you are saying that now you know that when people steal the story from you and they don't pay that much attention, you can excuse them, because now you know that this is probably the best they can do. They might help you learn more about them, but what I hear is that you don't get mad at them because now you know the reason that lies behind this attitude.
Yes, yeah. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you too. Oh, can I just say something now? Edwin, can I add this?
You can speak, select someone and say whatever you want.
Sorry?
But you can speak back to Ingrid if you want, if there's something you want to say.
Oh, because she asked me about Portugal, so I want to tell her what I'm going to do there.
Just select her and she'll reflect back.
Okay, then. So I will talk to Ingrid again. what I'm going to do in Portugal. I've never been there before. I'm a master's student now, but European citizens students can participate in Erasmus program. I don't know if you know this in the States. Erasmus is for every European student. And so I decided to go there and make PhD studies, a level higher than what I'm doing right now. And this is in digital humanities, which has to do with how people are going to read, compose, write books in the digital era. So the revolution regarding books and reading. And I'm going to stay there and work. I'm going to help organizing this whole project. It's a huge European program. And I will also collaborate with the professor closely on my MA thesis.
Wow. So you're really excited about going to Portugal and it's expanding your education. You're going to be you're working on your master's now, and it's going to be working in digital humanities, which is more about reading and writing in the and some others in the digital age. And then you're also going to be working with the professor. Wasn't sure if I assume the professor is there at that university, that you're going to be working with them on this project.
Yes, when we talk about digital humanities, we talk about digital poetry, digital writing, how we use digital art to convey a message. I mean, new ways we can use to communicate a message. And might be literature, poetry, might be a painting, might be whatever. So different forms, more innovative forms. And yes, the professor is the director of this huge European program. It's a big global program, and it was a big honor for me for him to select me and to say that yes, I want her to come and just collaborate with us, because I think it's only me that I'm going to go there, just one position, so it's a big honor.
So it was quite the honor to be selected by this professor who is in charge of this large European program. It's not just a program in Portugal. It's much bigger than that. And here he picked you, and it's to work on how to communicate a story digitally, whether it's a poetry or whatever, and then it's also including art. But it's really, it's quite the honor to be selected.
Exactly, and this means that I have to prove them right, and I have to work hard and show them that their choice was good. And quite often people tell me that, oh, are you traveling again? I mean, oh, lucky you, Dimitra, you have the money to do so. And I don't want to, it gives me a kind of bitter feeling, because it's as if they say that my father is going to give me the money, but the truth is that nobody gives me the money. All money comes from scholarships and from my studying, and I'm trying to be a good student, that's all. So sometimes I try to keep silent and say, yes, I'm lucky, thank you, and I don't explain, because they might feel bad. So I say, yeah, right, I'm privileged, but I'm not. I work very hard, 12 and 14 hours a day, very hard.
So this program, you're going to have to work really, really hard at this program to prove yourself. And yet you found that sometimes when you tell people, when you've shared your excitement about getting into the program, they'll say, you're traveling again. And they will imply that your dad is going to be paying, that he's behind it. It's not because you worked so hard. And that it can kind of hurt when they just make those assumptions, when that's not true at all. It's really scholarships is how you're doing it. But you don't feel it's necessary really to explain that to them. You just kind of let it go and say, yes, I'm privileged.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I feel fully heard. Thank you.
I guess I'll pick Edwin, and I'm not sure what to talk about. I've done this before.
Yeah, you're not sure what to talk about, and you've done something. I'm not sure what that is before.
I've come on in the empathy circle and not had something to talk about.
Oh.
That's what I've done before.
So you've had something where you've started you started speaking, you didn't know what to say before, and it's happened before, so you're just kind of making a note that, hey, this has happened to me before. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and it makes me a little anxious. I find the back of my head is like spinning, like, what can I talk about? What can I say? And and so I was thinking, I guess I was thinking about our homework. You said our homework was going to maybe try to do some empathy circles with family or with friends or whatever. So yeah, I'm rambling.
Okay, so what I hear is that this has happened to you before. You don't know what to say. And when you don't know what to say, you're noticing that inside of you, there's kind of like anxiety and kind of comes up from not knowing what to say. And then you were kind of thinking what to say. So, well, you can think about the homework, but then you're kind of like speaking about the homework, you're thinking, hey, am I kind of rambling? So you're just kind of like noticing, what's going on for you.
I feel fully heard.
Okay, you feel heard.
I do.
A bit of humor, too. Okay, well, I'll speak back to you then. Your metaphor of, grabbing somebody's story, that kind of resonated with me, that I was going to have the on arrival assignment be about metaphors. What is your metaphor of empathy and so forth? So in a sense, that is your metaphor. Like empathy is like listening to someone's story, and questions are like stealing the story. And so that's kind of a metaphor. So I was just noticing that.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm not empathizing. So what you've noticed is that when I mentioned that taking the story away, grabbing the story away, is that you notice that really it could be my metaphor for, we had that homework, it wasn't really homework, but it was assignment today for us to identify a metaphor, and you thought that was a really good example of a metaphor of empathy.
Yeah, and when you told the story, it reminded me of one that I'd heard from Carl Rogers, and he was using the metaphor of a journey. Someone is going on a journey, and you're accompanying them on their journey, and you're constantly checking, am I still, following you accurately? Am I still, am I still here? Am I still following you? So you're sort of checking if you're still with the person on their journey. And that's the metaphor that he used for the listening.
So when you heard that, it reminded you of Carl Rogers' metaphor about the journey, and it's kind of just the opposite of taking the story away as the metaphor, but it's not what we want to do. Whereas the journey is what we want to do. We want to be there with them as they go through the story.
Yeah, and you could see the blocks being, how does it block the person on their journey? It's like the kids in the back seat. Are we there yet? or no, we should go this direction. I want to go this direction. Or I don't like the direction you're going. It's like, this is a stupid direction. So all those blocks are kind of like inhibiting someone from going on their journey. So what would be the questions? It would be like, or doesn't it look better over there? Or wouldn't this road be better? You know, so I guess that would be kind of maybe questions kind of distract the person from.
So you're already coming up with some other ideas of how this going on a journey can be almost used possibly even as a teaching tool. But it's like, and for example, the blocks would be kids in the back asking the question, aren't we there yet? Or someone else saying, shouldn't we go this direction? But they're kind of distracting, roadblocks, taking it away off the path of the journey. Yeah, and
let's see. The other thing then that came up was Mimi, when she was talking about her digital humanities, I thought, if we need a video to go viral, I wonder how we can create a empathy video to go viral. And I'm curious if she does anything around studying like videos that go viral. There's a group, the Sidewalk Talk, a group that we've worked with, and it does listening out on the streets. They just set up a row of listeners, and then people come and sit and talk, and they offer sort of like empathy. And I've worked together with them here, and they just had somebody did a 60-second video about their process, and it's up to 10 million views right now. And I thought, we need one of those.
So you're really seeing the value, and you want to develop something that will go viral, and with empathy to help spread the word.
Yeah.
And when Mimi mentioned the digital humanities, you kind of perked up a lot, because you're thinking, oh, maybe she might have some ideas on how we could make something that can go viral and can help really create this culture of empathy that you're wanting to create.
Yeah. And the last piece would be maybe the video, how to do an empathy circle. I imagine we do a video of it. You know, we're doing a slideshow, then we're doing a video sort of narration with samples. We could maybe create later, once that's all done, we could create like an animation, one of those animated things, which people seem to really like. So something like that could maybe go viral. So I'm just kind of thinking of how do we get it out there and get those 10 million views.
So your brain is pretty active right now and trying to figure out all the different ways in order to spread the word and to get more people to click on and view an empathy video, whether it's with animation or videos or what. But
yeah,
it's something you really want to look into.
So big expectations for our project, our video project. So yeah, so just kind of joking about that. So yeah, I feel heard. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll talk with Mimi, and I'm still trying to figure out what to talk about, but I think that's interesting what Edwin is saying related to trying to find something that would, you know, what is it that would really get people's attention and get the point across as far as what empathy is and how to put it into practice.
So it seems that you might have run out of many ideas today. However, you found Edwin's thoughts very important, and you are thinking also about how we could just attract the attention of very many people and make them think about what really empathy is and how they could practice it.
Right. And you know, my background's not in, I'm much better at like looking at it. You know, my background's not as good in coming up with it, I don't think. I'm better at looking at it and seeing, does it work? You know, does it grab my attention more? And I can go through, and I'm better at kind of reviewing and seeing, anyway. So I wish I could come up. I don't know why my I'm having a hard time. Maybe it's since we started at noon today, Edwin. I'm coming up with, or I guess it was noon. Yeah, having a hard time thinking. Go ahead, Mimi. I'll let you reflect back to me that nothing that I just said.
So it seems that you are better at evaluating things and checking out how well they work or not, and just providing feedback than coming up with new ideas. You feel more comfortable doing the first one, and it seems that you don't feel very, very comfortable today because there is not much you can talk about. And probably you said something I didn't really get about the session you had with Edwin, I think, earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't get this part. I didn't hear what you meant.
Oh, well, Edwin and I met an hour
Earlier.
right? So it's going to be 3. By the time we're done, it'll be
tired.
3 hours. Yeah. So, but back to something that gets the attention, you almost wonder if that journey, if there's some way to use that as a way to tell the story, the empathy story that could help. I mean, it'd be a little different twist on it, like what Edwin was saying, as far as something to go viral.
So you think that the metaphor with the journey will be very appropriate when we try to engage more people into the concept of empathy, and you think that this metaphor will help them realize what empathy is? Possibly.
Not sure there. So
you're not sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel heard, fully heard.
Okay, great. So I would like to talk to Edwin, and I have very many things to share with both of you today. One thing is that today I went to my doctor because I had the annual checkup, and what I felt was that the importance of empathy when it comes to health. So I saw that what matters is not only that he's very, very good as a scientist, but what females loved was that he's very empathetic and can build up personal relationships with women who might have breast cancer or have whatever. And I found it so awesome that there is this generous tenderness between the specialist and the patient, and this made all the difference.
Okay. I got a little distracted. My partner came in and moved the candle over here because she was concerned it was smoldering. But you had your checkup, and you're talking about the doctor, that the doctor is just very sensitive, very empathic, and that you're just noticing that that empathy that he, I guess was that he has, is it's just noticing that has made him just a very good doctor, and especially for like cancer patients. And
yes, that his attitude makes all the difference, because we have this cultural problem I've mentioned in almost every session of ours, that we have different culture, and here in Greece the sensitivity is just an important parameter that makes a difference. So you go to the doctor, and you can easily find people who are tender, who you realize that they care about you, and this doesn't make them, they don't only have the knowledge, but they also have the right attitude. And when it comes to health, this makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. So it's you're saying that in Greece, you've talked about this before, it's like it's having the right attitude is important, as well as the knowledge, and kind of combining the two is really important, to have both of those. So the competency, the knowledge, as well as the sort of an empathic, caring attitude.
Definitely. And I would like to connect prevention in health with prevention in fire. And once I think I'm quite careful when it comes to my health, I've seen that very many people lose their lives because they don't take care. And talking with specialists many times, they tell me that this and this and this and this case could have been prevented if people have taken care in good time. And the same happened with the fires, as Ingrid Ingrid asked me about it. And I mean, I understand that you have a house somewhere in the forest, but have you ever thought how you're gonna react in case of fire? What is your preventive measures you take in order to protect those you love in case of danger? It might have to do with your health, or it might have to do with the fire. I mean, the mindset seems to be the same.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that there's a similar issue in terms of people thinking about the outcomes, or even, you could even say maybe an imaginative empathy, imagining the future and being thinking about the consequences and thinking of how to prevent negative consequences. So take care of your health, take more precautions with fire, for the future, so that to inhibit fire. So kind of just have more of that mindset to be thinking of the future outcomes.
Yes.
What could happen.
Yes, of the consequences of our actions before it is too late. And whenever it comes to health, especially to health, I feel very bad when I see people not appreciating this amazing present of health. Most of the people have a kind of a little, health issues, whatever, but these don't put their lives in danger. But when I see people really smoking so much, drinking too much, eating whatever, I really want to ask them, are you aware of the danger you are putting yourself in? I mean, do you know? But I don't ask.
Yeah. So when you see people doing these activities that are unhealthy, smoking, drinking, etc., it's like it sounds like there's some concern or stress comes up in you. It's like, and you want to say, don't you think of the future and so forth, but you kind of hold yourself back from actually voicing that.
Right, especially when I see women smoking, and I know that breast is such a sensitive part of the female body. Sometimes I'm thinking about slapping them. Really, I become so angry because this is not a joke. I mean, just serious. I go to the doctors. I see so many young girls, and I say, "Why are you doing this? I mean, no, you shouldn't." But I don't have the right to interfere with their personal choices. So just keep silent.
Yeah, so when you see these young women smoking, what the consequences is. It could lead to breast cancer and all the pain and suffering that comes. So you actually feel like angry with these women who are smoking, and so you feel maybe a little bit torn because, it's their choice and you can't say anything, so you got to kind of hold that back.
Right.
Yeah, so you kind of have that you're kind of dealing with that dynamic.
Yeah, but I don't want to, just to clarify, this doesn't mean that whoever smokes dies. No, but just, it's just a general idea. Of course, there are many people who don't never smoked or never did anything bad, but they suffer, of course. But chances are that when somebody overdoes it, might find themselves in trouble. I mean, so it's all about chances, the possibility and of suffering from this or that. So I just try to understand their choices, but sometimes I think that people, I don't know what happens in the States, but in Greece people say, oh, come on, it will never happen to me. Who cares? That's the mentality.
Yeah, so the mentality is, well, you're saying that there's sort of probabilities. It's not just because you smoke you're going to get this, but it increases your risk, and you're wanting to acknowledge that. And then it sounds like you're maybe feeling a little upset with people's attitudes who kind of just say it's not going to happen to me, and and they just kind of dismiss it and maybe feel a little irritated about that too.
Yes, and I don't want to do something about it. I don't want to leave it. I really want to take some action.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So yeah, so you want to take action to encourage people to think of the consequences, and so that's you don't want to just like sit with it. You want to actually do something to kind of help that in society. So
Definitely. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
okay. Then let's see what shall we do the triad exercise next? Are we ready for that? Do you want?
Yeah, I'd just like you to explain the
Okay.
details a bit.
Okay, we did it in the other group, so we have the basic, this is about questions. So one thing you should know about me. So one of us will say, one thing you should know about me, and you can speak about, just something about yourself, like what type of person you are, some kind of an adjective. I guess that's an adjective. And then the others of us will go around and say, does that mean you are this? Or does that mean you are that? And then the person just says yes or no, so that you're not,
Right. I remember now.
It's going to be, yeah, okay, so you don't do anything, you don't expand, you just say yes or no. So, and we'll go for maybe, 10 times or something for each person, or until the energy shifts. So anybody want to start?
I can start.
Okay.
So I just I just shoot a statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a go-getter.
Does that mean you work really hard?
Yes.
Does that mean you get things done?
Yeah, but if I want clarification, just leave it as it is.
Yeah, just you got to struggle with yes or no.
I'm gonna struggle. Yes.
Does that mean people are irritated with you?
No. Does that mean that this is kind of hard. So what are we supposed, we're asking the questions to get clarification, Edwin?
Yeah, I mean, just sort of yes, no clarification questions, like.
And is the like when you said, is the purpose to explore, like when you said the comment about what was your comment again, Edwin? You said, do people get mad or something?
Mm-hmm. Does that mean people get mad at you?
And she said no, and then that made me think that, because sometimes it's does that mean that people can be uncomfortable around you? People who aren't go-getters, they can be uncomfortable sometimes around go-getters. And so, but I don't know. So I don't know if that's
that works. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Are people uncomfortable around you? Some people.
Yes.
Does it mean that your parents were go-getters?
Oh.
If my parents are go-getters?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Does that mean you like being a go-getter?
Yes. Yeah, hell yes.
Are you attracted to other go-getters?
But sometimes you can answer with yes or no. I mean, no. I mean, it was 60-40. What can I say? If they're sensitive, yes. I mean, how can I explain that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's more complicated.
Does it mean that that you like all parts of the go-getting, or is there any parts of the go-getting you don't like?
Yes. There are parts I don't like, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean you like Trump?
No. No. No.
Does that mean you like other go-getters?
No. No. No.
Does that mean you work 14 hours a day?
Yes.
Does that mean you get exhausted?
Yes.
Oh, does it mean you overwork?
Yes.
Does it mean you work too much?
Yes.
Does it mean you get burned out?
Yes.
Hmm.
Do you ask me very provocative questions? Because do you have things that you don't want to ask because I might feel uncomfortable? If yes, I would like you to shoot the questions. I mean, I have no problem. In case, I don't know, once we try it for the first time, and if you have more provocative questions, just ask me. If, I don't know.
Yeah. Does that mean you want people to ask you provocative questions?
Yes.
Does that mean that you like things to go deeper?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Does that mean you have ideas about what provocative questions are?
Yes.
Oh.
Is that right?
Well, I feel like I'm failing asking provocative questions.
Me too.
Oh, that's a question. Do people feel intimidated by your go-getterness? Do they feel intimidated?
In the sense of scared?
Yeah. Do they feel scared of you?
Yes.
Does that mean that it's okay then to use other? Because if I don't use does that mean, it's easier to ask different questions. But how do you feel around people if you're on a project and you're with someone who's not a go-getter?
Great.
Oh, you like that? Okay.
I feel collaborative. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just I'm a sensitive go-getter. I'm not. That was the question I would expect you to ask me. That you do everything to achieve your goals, and I would say no, because it's the moral code. My moral code is very strict, so no, I never use others.
So are you a sensitive go-getter?
Definitely.
Okay, well, that was quite a few rounds. Does that feel complete there? Or any other questions?
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to go, Ingrid, or?
I am curious.
Oh, okay. So does that mean you ask a lot of questions?
Yes.
Okay. Does it mean you always like the answers you get?
No.
Is that why you're are you interested in empathy because it's a way of learning more about people more deeply?
Yes.
Were you taught about this since you were a kid?
Yes. Or have I been curious since I've been a kid? Is that what the?
I mean,
yes.
If your parents taught you that.
No, I don't remember my parents telling me that.
Were you a lonely?
They said more I was observant. I had good observational skills. Was I what?
Were you a lonely, curious kid?
Sometimes, yeah. I was the
That's-
youngest in the family, and my siblings were gone, so I was like an only child for a while.
Has curiosity made your life easier?
I think so. It's made it richer.
Is curiosity a way to learn about the world?
Yes.
Does curiosity make you more attractive to men? Your curiosity?
I don't know. Maybe some and maybe others no, because some don't want to share as much. You know, if you're with me, you have to be willing to kind of be open, because I'm curious about what's going on, and so they have to be willing to be introspective and reflective, and a lot of men aren't like that.
So does curiosity make it difficult for you to ask closed questions?
No. I wish it made me. I still will ask those. I try not to, but I still will.
Are you curious about people's sexual preferences? Ingrid,
Where did that come from?
questions.
I am.
Boring questions. Are you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, sometimes I'll see someone and it's like, or sometimes it's more like, oh, they could be a man or a woman, you know, when you look at the face sometimes. But I am curious about people's sexual preferences.
Have you had like peak experiences of curiosity?
Yeah. You mean like when you get excited?
Yeah, it's been a peak experience that you had of curiosity.
Yeah, but you know, it can't last for real long, I don't think. But yes.
Do you ask your children questions that make them feel uncomfortable?
I think before I did the empathic training, I might have. Because I am curious about people. Yeah, but I don't think I do anymore. I'm more sensitive about it.
Yeah, do you see problems with curiosity?
Yeah, I think you can go too far if it makes the other person uncomfortable.
Has curiosity made you become an avid reader?
I like to read, but I wouldn't say I'm a real avid. You know, I like to read, and I'm reading a really good book right now on the mind-gut connection. But I'm not one who reads like 30 books in a month or something like that. And I guess that's how I would define an avid reader.
Are you curious about what people are feeling?
Yes, very much so.
Are you curious about how you feel every day?
Yes.
Okay, is that?
I feel fully, yes.
Sure. Okay, so I think the or you have more?
No, I just have to run to the bathroom.
Okay.
Can you give me a second?
All right, sure.
Thank you.
So I think this exercise, the idea is to be asking closed questions to get a no, yes, no
Yes.
Answer. And I think it's in the next chapter, one of the next chapters. It's actually that you hear what someone says and you offer a reflection. So he's trying to contrast between the nature of questions and answers. So, you know, he's trying to show these very constricting questions and how you don't get a lot of, information. So you're kind of like practicing that, as well as then contrasting it later to to learning about someone by offering a reflection. And then I think you'll do like just ask one or two questions, but do primarily reflections. I think that's sort of the purpose there.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems a little not quite. It's almost like you have to do them right after each other or something, rather than.
Oh yeah, I think it's a couple of chapters farther away. So yeah, it would be nice to have the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for me, one thing you should know about me is I am a seeker.
What?
A seeker. To seek.
Oh, to seek things. You like to look for things. Search.
It's just a seeker. Sometimes it's called a quester. Yeah. I guess.
So does that mean you like new experiences?
Yes.
Do other people like this quality of yours?
Yeah. Or those 60-40 kind of things. Yeah, but I'd say yes.
Does it feel good to you to be a seeker?
Yeah.
Does it cost you much money?
No.
Are there downsides to being a seeker?
Yes.
Were you always like this?
No.
Was it a major event that caused you to become a seeker?
No.
Does this make you happy?
Yes. It's a 60-40.
Is it mainly applied to like mental, or is it mainly like physical too? When you think of a seeker, is it like, I sometimes think of adventure, someone being physically adventurous,
Yeah.
or is it applies to physical adventure?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, I forgot the question. Okay. Do you often find people who can understand this part of yourself?
No.
What you said.
Do people understand it? Do people understand that part of me?
Huh.
I said no.
So is that
40.
So is it frustrating when others don't understand it?
Yeah.
Do you think that living in the States helps you being a seeker?
Probably, yes.
Have you met other seekers?
Yes.
Do you also seek for things inside yourself?
Yeah. Yes.
And is it satisfying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you looked for answers as a seeker in various religions?
Yes.
Did your parents support you being a seeker? Your desire? Huh?
No.
Are you experimenting with different places where you can find the piece of information, whatever you're looking for?
Do I experiment?
With different sources, different kinds of... Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. If there's more.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Did you have a question? One or?
Well, it came and then it left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for me it was, I started after high school. I did read a lot of adventure books, and then I went traveling, around the world for 10 years. And I would say the empathy work that I do is also, I kind of shifted from traveling seeking to kind of this internal seeking. So that's a little bit of an explanation. So actually, maybe we could go around, like, what is everybody's background of your story that you shared? Because I'm curious about your curiosity, I think, for example, Ingrid.
What do you mean, the background?
Oh, I just shared a little bit about what seeking meant for me.
Oh.
I was wondering, what was the story behind your
being
curiosity?
Curious?
Yeah.
Oh, I just think I'm really curious about other people. Well, I'm curious about myself too, why I feel certain ways at times, why I behave certain ways at times. And it's mainly related to psychology. And then I'm also really curious about other people. And it's a lot, I think it's how we become who we are. But I mean, I'm curious about the world. I like school. I'm always learning, I think. And so I don't know if that answers it.
Yeah, that was it. Just Mimi, you're as a go-getter. Like, want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah. It was very early. I mean, I was very young when I realized that I had big dreams in my life, or I saw the world in kind of unconventional way, and I knew that nobody could understand me. So I started feeling the problem. I have a problem, and after some years, I realized that I had no problem. The problem was with other people. So that was a very bitter story for me. It took me years because I was a student, school student and pupil. And then when I started building up my self-esteem, I said that, okay, now there are two options. I either work hard and go after my dreams, or I just say I can't. I mean, that's it. I can live a conventional life, what I could name as conventional, but I'm not the kind of person who can live in a conventional life. I knew that I would die. So there was one way direction for me. And I said that I will have to be responsible, trustworthy, serious professional, and people sooner or later will believe in me, will trust me. And this is what I did in my life, and what I still do. High level of responsibility, very high level.
Okay. Well, it's interesting to hear what was behind each person's, what you should know about me. And the idea behind this exercise, as we were just talking about, is to just practice asking closed questions, because he's making a contrast between closed and open questions. And we did this in one of the other groups, and it's a lot. It can be a lot of fun, just to kind of make those guesses. And as I was mentioning to Ingrid, in a future chapter, we'll do the same exercise, but instead of asking closed questions, I think we ask open questions as well as give reflections. So then he kind of, contrasts this with kind of a more empathic approach. So I think that's the gist of it. So, well, that's what we've got.
Something I find the closed question thing, it provides value. It's even though he's maybe using it as a way demonstrating what not to do. But I think if you did it like with a social issue, something, because some of the questions you asked, it's like, is that how I feel? I had to kind of, and it was easy for me to answer with a yes, not always easy, but I found it helpful a little in clarifying my own, where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm. So actually the closed questions were helpful.
Right. For me, I felt they did. It made me think a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we just open it to the open discussion about whatever? We have another 15 minutes or so to
Oh, no other closed questions. It was very good. I
Oh,
really
you like
that.
the?
Yes.
Do you want to go another round? Another round
Yes,
of what you should know about me?
So I've
yes.
lost
Okay.
pictures.
I'm still here. I see you. Maybe this. If you open the screen, or did you?
There we are. It just all of a sudden went black.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Who wants to go then? I think Mimi, you'd be up.
Okay. So I'm oversensitive.
Oh, does that mean you get hurt easily?
Yes.
Does that mean you're oversensitive to what happens to other people too, besides yourself?
Yes.
Does that mean you enjoy being who you are?
But this who I am. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Hmm. So that means you enjoy being oversensitive?
It's a great benefit for me. I don't enjoy it. It's a high price, but it's a benefit. My antennas are oversensitive. I can just detect things people overlook.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean you're very empathic?
Hell yes. I am.
Does that mean your parents were oversensitive?
No.
Did that mean you were not seen as a child? Not seen and acknowledged
that
as
they
a
didn't
child by your
treat me as if
parents?
that they didn't treat me as a child.
No, that they didn't really see you as a child.
No, they saw me.
Okay.
But as an overly responsible child. They saw me. They loved me always, but I was overly responsible. Mature. I was born mature, so they could trust me all the time. All the time. That was a problem. I don't want you to trust me. They trust me.
So are your friends that you choose, are they overly sensitive?
No.
Do you think people should be more sensitive in life?
Definitely. Definitely. They are. Actually, they are. They pretend that they are not. They are very sensitive. That's the problem.
So your professor today, she's not overly sensitive?
No. That's why we'll never be friends.
So are you hurt by people who are not sensitive?
If I'm hurt?
Yeah, do you get hurt by people who are not sensitive?
Yes, but I can manage it.
Mm-hmm.
Are there, and you may have answered, are there downfalls to being overly sensitive?
Yes, but advantages are more, as I see it.
Are you a fearful person?
In general?
Mm-hmm.
No. Quite brave.
Do you get angry? Does the oversensitive cause you to get angry more often than if you weren't?
I can manage it. I mean, I can be a little irritated, but in my life, in my personal life, professional life, no. In my personal life, okay, but no, I just I can contain my feelings. I don't lose control easily. No. I don't say things that I regret. I never do that. I know what I'm talking about, even when I'm angry.
Being sensitive, does it mean you hide how you feel about other people?
Hide?
Mm-hmm.
Never. Never. I never hide my feelings. Just everything is crystal clear. 100%. People know.
So I'm thinking about the different ways when you say you're oversensitive, thinking of the different ways it shows up in your life. And so one way it might show up is that you can pick up on a friend who's maybe experiencing something that they maybe haven't quite been able to tell you, but you can just kind of pick up that something's not right with them.
Yes, definitely. Yes. I can empathize very easily with others.
Mm-hmm.
You say that you're overly sensitive. Is there like a perfectly sensitive state? There's oversensitive, undersensitive, perfect sensitive. Do you think there's a perfectly sensitive state?
No, I'm just I'm perfectly sensitive, but I'm not going. No, yes, I am, but I'm not going to share it with people who don't speak my language. So as a professional, I'm not going to unload my feelings on people who don't know. But if he's my man, my significant other, then yes, I can speak this language. So I can just open up myself. But I'm very sensitive all my life, whatever I do. Yes, perfectly sensitive, but I just try to manage it, not to show it that much.
Is sensitive and empathic synonyms? I mean, are they? Yeah, do they mean kind of the same thing?
I think sensitivity is the precondition, the prerequisite for somebody who wants to take the risk and empathize with the other person.
So do you value a rich experience of emotions and feelings?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Huge range of emotions.
What were you born? Did you notice this at a young age?
Yes. I knew it. That I could feel things that other people didn't notice. And this helped my brain to process things that other people overlooked. And this made me smarter. I had the data coming all the time, input coming. So I could see things that people ignored. I said, what's going on here? It was difficult.
I wonder if we could have done the practice of an empathic listening instead of just guessing.
Oh.
Would that have been of interest to you?
I don't understand the question.
Why don't we try it now?
Okay, yeah. So what I'm hearing, so we're going to shift a little bit to offer empathic listening instead of just asking these questions. So I'm hearing that that you were sensitive from a very young age, and you really valued it because it made you smarter, because you were just getting all these insights, all this information, which helped make you smarter.
Yes, for me, my existence had to do with giving something back to the society. I mean, for me, we are all together was something important. I don't live in the first person. I live in the singular, first person singular. I live in first person plural. So it's all about we, and I felt the desire to put my life in I don't know the right word, to serve a bigger goal, to do something, to give something back. Not because I want to be something special, I didn't care about this, but I just felt that this is what a normal life should be, to have a positive impact on everything around you. So sensitivity helped me a lot to understand the world and my position in the world. Don't you
want to reflect that, Ingrid? We'll go back and forth.
No, you go ahead, Edwin.
Oh.
I didn't hear it all.
Oh, okay. So, so what I'm hearing there is that you don't see yourself as just an individual, but you see yourself as part of a community, of a we, and that your sensitivity to the we is you want to use that to contribute to the well-being of the we and the community and everyone else.
Definitely.
I want to ask you a question. Have you ever read Daniel Siegel? He's
Me?
a,
It's a question to me?
yeah,
No.
he's out of UCLA, but he uses the term MWE. It's like MWE to reference. It's kind of the individual, but it's always within a we. It's like the
No.
individual.
Could you spell his name?
Yeah, it's Dan, Dan Siegel. I think it's Siegel.
S-I-E? S-I-E?
Are you looking it up? I
Yeah.
misspell his name at times, so hold on.
So it's M-W-E is the title of the book?
No, S as in Sam.
No, M.
I just put a link in there to Daniel Siegel. It's actually my interview with him. So, and there's a whole bunch of material.
The title of the book is M-W-E.
No, that's not the title of the book, but he's written several books. I really like him a lot because he combines neuroscience with empathy and with just how our brains work and with connection. And it's very scientific. What he writes is very, it's backed up by science.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about, it's the collective we, and that's just a word he came up with. It sounded kind of corny, but to me, it's explaining what you just said.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like what he talks about.
Thank you, Ingrid. I'm gonna look for him. No, I don't know about this person, but I will look for his articles and books. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I would say the culture of empathy is about, right? It's a sense of the community as well that is being part of it, but also that sensitivity to the whole too. So, okay, well, we've kind of got 10 minutes left. Do you want to share something, Ingrid, or?
I'm okay. If you have something, go ahead.
I'm okay too. But if we had more time, it might have been nice to have contrasted the two. Like,
yes,
I didn't think about that, but we could have just done the closed questions and then with more of the other exercise in a future chapter is sort of open questions and reflections. So you kind of combine the two. So there's no more than two closed. Two questions and the rest reflection, but we'll do that in a future chapter. So
did you say something? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
we don't ever ask questions in our empathy when we practice empathy.
Mm-hmm.
It's we usually don't ask questions because that's almost like a ground rule, isn't it?
Yeah, you could ask it when it's your turn.
Right, but so that's a thing that's a little inconsistent with what he's saying. Is he says it's okay to ask a couple questions, but generally with us we don't because we don't want to get the dialogue going. But anyway,
yeah, I think he's talking about in relating to people in general, kind of. Not so much in a circle, but when we're talking with our partners or what have you, like, or whoever. Yeah, I think, yeah. So,
but I think that is.
No, go ahead. I was done.
I think that it would be a good idea if we could ask a question because we can really. It's not that we try to steal the story. We just try to understand. Because I've mentioned, what I mentioned before about Portugal, Ingrid didn't really realize what I had said. Probably she didn't hear something, what I wasn't clear enough or whatever. And she wanted to ask me so as to follow what I was saying. Otherwise, if you miss a point, you can't follow. So I think that it would be better if we could just ask one or two questions. And this means that we have an extra interest in what the speaker had just tried to communicate. That was the one thing. And the other was that in the video you shared with us about empathy and the metaphor of empathy, this image about the ice cubes was just fantastic, and I think that it clearly describes how people live their lives today. They say, "Oh, I want my individuality," whatever. I don't remember the term, but at the same time, they end up being totally alone, which is so bitter. Don't step on my borders. Okay, and what are you going to do? You're just gonna live your life alone? You don't want it. You're gonna end up being depressed. That was a very, very good example. Really like this, and bitter as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, the metaphor part, that can be very rich.
And then she never got to answer your question about, can she help with doing something that would get 1 million hits?
Oh yeah, I mean, it goes without question, I think, because I'm so much into empathy. So you can take it for granted that whatever I do, I mean, of course I will try to do things for our group. I mean, definitely. I don't know it now because I haven't been there, but the first chance I have, I will definitely do this. And also I have other projects that I'm gonna join, I'm gonna be part of in the next month, but I'm not sure yet. That's why I haven't communicated these ideas yet to you. But yes, definitely, you can take it for granted as soon as I go there and see what people are working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, did you see that metaphor video, Ingrid? That
I don't think.
It was a video that linked there was a link to it from the email to a little video I'd put together. I'd ask people about their metaphors for empathy.
Oh, I did.
Sort of a visual. And so it was the metaphor of what is not empathy and the metaphor for empathy, and the two dialogue with each other. So, right, so it was like, remember, it was the ice cubes. The metaphor for no empathy is ice cubes in a tray. And then the metaphor she had was hands, kind of the warmth of hands together. And the two talk to each other. And the hands try to empathize with it was an NBC trainer who kind of told that story. So that's another kind of an exercise as to do those sort of role plays and those sort of dialogues. But future activities. And with the questions, I'm not so sure about I think a big part of the listening is not so much that the listener can feel like that they're understanding everything, it's more the listener, the speaker feeling that they are heard. So I just don't know how to that line between questions and non-questions. So
yeah, but how can you give the impression, how can you convince the speaker that you have fully heard him or her when you have some questions because you haven't fully understood what he's talking about? And I'm telling you this again, that now you have the same culture. When you talk to people who come from a different background, as Ingrid mentioned before about the advocate, I think, I don't know this thing. So when it comes to groups that are made up of people who come from different backgrounds, then questions are absolutely necessary because people can't follow.
Yeah. I think it's not that questions aren't important, it's that we're sort of practicing the listening part is what we're trying to get really good at, is the listening. It's not that, it's like he says, it's like the, analysis, questions, all that stuff is important. It's that we're trying to get really good at the reflective part. It's what we're really trying to practice and deepen. But one thing that could be interesting is we could do a role play. You could be questions, I could be empathy, and then we have an empathic dialogue together. Do a role play.
How can this happen?
Okay.
An example?
Okay. So I say I am empathy, and it's how are we going to relate? And you say, and I'll say, I would like to relate empathically with each other. And then you reflect back what I'm saying as empathy, the role play, just like that. And then until I feel heard, then you is like, no, questions are important. We really want questions. And then I reflect back. So you really think questions are important. And then you just kind of speak. And so we have a dialogue between questioning and empathy as two characters, and they do a role play. We role play that in talk from those positions. And I've done that before, where there was, in one of the circles, we were talking about creativity. She would be creative, and then her judgment would say, no, that's stupid, that's terrible, and kind of beat up her creative ideas. And then that would create pain in her, right? And so every time she had a creative idea, judgment comes up, beats up creativity, she feels pain, and then she says, I don't want any more creativity because it's too painful, right? So I took on the role of her creativity. Somebody else took on the role of her judgment, and we had an empathic dialogue with each other for 45 minutes to work through the intricacies of the relationship of empathy and judgment. And so we could do the same thing with questions. I mean, you could do that with the blocks of empathy, would be kind of interesting too. I don't know, does that make any sense? Does that?
A little sense.
Okay.
I would like to try it out.
Well, we could try it out. We'll try it out sometime. So, yeah.
You know what? I can say that week after week, we practice more. I think I become better at listening, and I'm very grateful for this. And but the better I become, the worse I feel about people around me, in the sense they don't know anything. So I say something, I don't really like it. Oh, really? Now you don't like us? And I said, oh my God. I mean, I have communication problems, because when you try to relate to people who they know nothing about empathy, and now you become better at this skill, then the distance, the gap becomes wider. That's the problem. And I said, oh my God, if only I could just show them. You try to show them, but how can you cannot teach people? You're not a teacher in your personal life. It's a little difficult. The other person might say, I don't care about these seminars of yours, not your seminars, the three of us have, but I don't want you, Dimitra, to give me any seminars on how to behave. I know. What can you answer?
So you're finding a distance between you and others, because you learn more about empathy, you see their lack of empathy, and then it's causing some kind of conflict and pain.
Yes, I'm very honest. I mean, I see that I can become better. I can just contain my feelings more. I am a better listener. I'm very grateful for the team and you, Edwin, and the other people in our group. But I see, oh my God, I mean, sometimes it's harder to communicate with people now.
Well, that might be something we can also do, is like when we have the empathy circle time, you can bring those problems from the week, those experiences, and share them, and we can, they can be heard too. So,
but be very personal.
Yeah, we can make it a more personal discussion. So we do have time. Ingrid's been at this. We've been at it for 3 hours. So
that's something I could talk about for a long time.
Empathy. We can go another hour.
Have something.
Okay, so we can bring that up at the next meeting. What we have is what we're gonna. At the next meeting, you're gonna try to hold an empathy circle, and you're gonna bring the stories and the struggles and joys and successes or failures to talk about and share. So
I will try to do this with my students. Once they practice their English. Okay, definitely. I'm gonna try it and see how it goes. Okay, very good.
Okay, great. Well, then we have our assignment, and so that we've got our intention. We're going to take that intention out with us to foster empathy circles during the week and the culture of empathy. Deep breath, and I'm going to put it out real quick because it smolders, and my partner Joan gets upset when it smolders. So that's Joan over there. Say hi, Joan.
How can she work? Oh, does she hear? She can't hear. Does she?
She hears the reflection. She only hears one side of the.
Oh, okay.